On today's episode of Tuesday Talks with Opie, I sit down with Jalen Shabazz, a student of life driven to help others become the best version of themselves. We talk about his fitness journey, his level of consistency, and how others can find their purpose too. Join us for today's conversation. Everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tuesday Talks. Today, my guest is Jalen Shabazz. No title because he's a man of many talents, and I'm just so happy to have you on the show. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about fitness. If you are not following him on Instagram, then you will not be familiar with a lot of the things that he does. Most of it is on training your body and your mind from the words that he says, the advice he gives every day, and also from his actions through his journey in the fitness world. So with that being said, I want to know what got you into your fitness journey?
Well, originally, any fitness that I did was because of my dad. My dad was in the military when I was born. He's still in the military right now. So, my punishments, our father-son time, all of that was exercise. So I've been doing it forever. Like it's a really huge part of my life. But of course, I was an athlete. That's how we met each other. And I was just an athlete. That's who I was for a really long time. And once I got done running track in college, I like didn't know what to do. You know what I mean? I just was like, I don't know who I am besides an athlete. So I just kept working out, and then eventually, I found a way to tie that into my life's purpose. So that's how all of this fitness stuff started. I continue to be fit for myself, but I use it to also help others.
Okay, so you mentioned your purpose. What do you believe your purpose is? And how did you go about finding it, through the fitness, but what made you feel solid in that you know exactly what your purpose is?
So my purpose, in short, is to take steps forward so that other people will take steps forward. And I've always been somebody that has helped push people, whether that was physically or mentally or spiritually or whatever, right? But I didn't really have a solid grasp on that until I got older. I don't even consider myself a talker or like a people person really, but other people consider me that. I like being alone. But when I talk to people, they're like, this is a great conversation and you really helped me do this and that. So I feel like responsible to keep doing that. And I would say that if someone was looking to find their purpose, you kind of have to look back in your past and look at moments that were very impactful to you or to other people. Like you have to look at yourself and say, like, what am I known for in a positive way, not in a negative way? What am I known for? And how does that help other people? To me, that's how you find your life's purpose. And when you have that purpose, it's like it goes from the inside out. You use that and it guides everything else in your life. So like I said, I take steps forward in my own life because it inspires people to do the same thing. So I take steps forward in fitness and it makes people want to live more, run more, blah, blah, blah. I read books every day and I post them, and people are like, man, I got into reading because of you. I started a podcast. People are like, yeah, I've been thinking about doing a podcast. I'm going to just do it now. So I just always do something new. I always improve myself. And I know that it will lead to other people trying to improve themselves. And ultimately, I think that's a good thing for the world, because if we're all improving ourselves, we become more compassionate, we understand each other more, and just makes the world a little bit better, right?
Right. I can definitely attest to that. Seeing your content, like you said, even when you just post like a few passages from a book that you're reading, it gets the viewer thinking themselves too, like, oh wow, that's a great thought, or I want to learn more. And like you said, you're I feel like you're an introvert, but you're also an extrovert. You have a way to, you stick to yourself, but you also have a way to naturally connect with others. Do you think that's something that naturally came to you in how you communicate with others, or did it take a little bit of work to build that type of personality?
That's tough. I think my dad is an extrovert, and my dad's a high-ranking chaplain in the army. And he's a big talker, and so I think I picked up a lot of things from him. He knows people very well just because he's a chaplain, and he has to know people well. And I think I took steps to know people better. My bachelor's is in psychology. So that's what I originally wanted to do before I decided to be all fitness and stuff for the rest of my life. I wanted to be a psychologist. I was going to help people that way. But I decided this is a better fit. So I think by knowing people, I can connect with them well. I can hear something that they say or see something that they do and, make a conclusion and help them in the way that I think I can help them, so yeah.
Right. One of the recent things that I've noticed is that you picked up Spanish, like you speak Spanish now. That wasn't something that I knew about you before. How did you go about learning something like that? And, what steps did you take to get better at it?
Well, first, I don't know if I would say I speak Spanish. I can I can speak a little bit, but I'm not like super fluent or anything. But it was like it was at first I was using apps and stuff, but it didn't really help. Like you learn like vocabulary words, but then like you have no context to them, and people say long sentences, and you're like, oh man, I don't know what they just said, right? So it was actually during the quarantine. I know a weightlifter from Colombia that doesn't speak great English, but we know each other. And I was like, he was out of work because of the pandemic and stuff. And I'm like, bro, like, what if I paid you to teach me Spanish, right? And so we just have conversations like 3 times a week. We do like grammatical lessons too, but it's more talking than school. So that's the best way to pick up a language, just hearing people talk, trying it out yourself, because you can learn all the vocabulary in the world, but when you try to speak, it just like doesn't come out. So
so it's definitely more through like conversation that you are able to pick it up better.
Yeah, you
than
have
just
to just try it out.
memorizing vocabulary words.
It's just like little kids in their own native tongue. When they first start speaking, they say words like wrong, and your parents just correct you, and you listen to people say words and you try to repeat it. Kids just like they literally just repeat anything that they hear. So you have to do it just
Right.
like that. It's the same way. Yeah.
That's really awesome. So yeah, like I said, you're a man of many talents, and it seems like you're a learner of just life in general. You're always looking to pick something up and get better at it. Not afraid to make the mistakes along the way, and really understand people, understand a new language, fitness. In terms of understanding fitness, I want to get your thoughts on how do you think people can improve their love of it? And by that, I mean that working out every day is almost like it's a habit for you. It's almost as like brushing your teeth, taking a shower. It's like a daily thing. But for a lot of people, working out or trying to live a healthier lifestyle it seems like a task or a chore. How do we get more people to see it as something that is just necessary for your life?
I think it's exactly what you just said. It is necessary for your life, but you have to find out why it's necessary for your life specifically. So, like I said, when you know your purpose, like I said, my purpose is to take steps forward. So when I work out, it's not really a chore. It's like a joy. I know I'm gonna be better, and I know other people are gonna see me be better, and they're gonna be like, "Man, I gotta go do this too," and blah blah blah. If you're a family person, when we go to work, we go make money to provide for our families, our kids, or whatever. And
Right.
you might not want to go to work, but you're like, it's not optional. Like I have to feed my kid. If you think
Mhm.
of it that way, if you're like, I need to be healthy so that I can see my kids grow up, so I can be there for my grandkids, it won't be a dreadful chore. It might still be like kind of a chore, just like work is, right? But
Mhm.
you don't just like not go to work for 3 months. You don't have a choice. This
Right.
is part of life. This is a part of a healthy life. Now that's a different subject. Like is work healthy, but but just the overall, what I'm saying is just like I said, find your purpose first, and
Mhm.
then you can connect your fitness to your purpose, and then it won't be such a like, oh, why am I doing this? I don't want to do it, blah blah blah. You'll be like, I need to do this. It's a good thing that I'm doing it.
Right. Right. I've also thought about like how, as adults, it's kind of hard to form new habits in a way. And sometimes I think that our physical education system has created that feeling of a chore, or I have to do this because I got to get an A in PE to graduate, or whatever it is. Do you think that there's any steps, or do you believe any steps, if any, can be taken to improve our physical education system that helps us form those habits at a very younger age?
I think keeping it around first of all would be a good thing because I don't even know if kids do PE like that anymore. I know when we were kids, or at least when I was a kid, where I was at, we had like the sit and reach test and like the pacer
Right.
test and all this stuff that was it was like a fun competitive day. It wasn't like, oh man, we have to do the sit and reach test. It was like, man, I hope I can stretch further than the other kids. And it was cool. So and I love the pacer test. Like people post memes and stuff saying that they hated the pacer test. I'm like, man, was I the only kid that was like, I can't wait to like see if I could break the pacer
Right.
record and stuff. So I don't know, maybe like I said, having it from day one and keeping it there. And I don't know, maybe it doesn't need to be graded. Maybe it just needs to be a check block. Like you need to show up and do this and have fun. Like
Right.
it's not how well you do it, it's just doing it, right? Like so but I don't know how much the education system can do with that because yeah, I just don't know. I think, like I said, I think it needs to be tied to your own personal health. I
Right.
think Yeah, I just think it's one of those things. Like, I don't think it needs to be super fun. Like, a lot of people want to make fitness like very, very fun. That's cool if you can find a way to make it fun. But like I said, it's like providing for your kids doesn't have to be fun. It can be. Maybe you have a really cool job or something, but even if you don't, it's something that needs to be done. Like it's just a responsibility to yourself and to your family to keep
And for
yourself.
those you care about. Right.
Exactly. That's how I see it. Like I don't want to be unhealthy and die before my parents. I don't want to
Mhm.
have to, I don't want my fiance to suffer because I'm unhealthy or something. I don't want to be in the hospital. Some stuff's out of your control, but the stuff that I can control with my fitness, I stay on top of that.
Right. You briefly mentioned stretching, and I thought about your mobility, which has like greatly improved. What steps did you take to get better at that? If you're one of the people that I definitely look into, like, no, you got to stretch before you work out. Like, you can't just go into it. So, how did you improve on that aspect of fitness?
Yeah, I think it was the same as like everything. Like I look at like the best people that do it.
Mhm.
Um, there's a couple of like UFC guys and Olympic weightlifters that are like really big dudes and they're flexible. So I'm like, I want to see what these dudes are doing because, like, I mean, no disrespect, but if you weigh like 100 pounds, it's a little bit easier to stretch than if you're like 250 pounds. So I'm like, I want to know.
Packing muscles.
Yeah, so I want to know what these guys are doing to actually be able to get into that splits and stuff. And you kind of start seeing like the common things that they're doing, and like I said, it's just taking a step to improve it a little bit every single time. It's not a fast process. And yeah, it just takes a little bit of time. But if you got if you know what to do, then it's just doing it. The hardest part is just figuring out what's the actual correct way to go about it. So,
right. I guess with all things, as you have mentioned, is that you just have to keep doing it. Like that's the only way you can get better. Not and seeing that it is something that is necessary. It's just I have to provide. I have to do this. These are my responsibilities, and one of them is just keeping myself, as healthy as possible.
yeah.
I've seen the way you think has always impressed me. I loved, like, basically, I guess, from your reading and from your experiences, I think that has really reflected and shaped the way you think. What advice would you give your younger self, like your 18-year-old self? What have you learned in the past 10 years that you wish you knew then, or even if not wishing then, but like what you believe you've learned from the past 10 years?
I think I've just learned to be more compassionate, more empathetic. Um, I had a really good life as a kid, and it was like my path to success was like super laid out, And so even though I've always like helped people, anytime somebody was struggling with something, I'm like, bro, it's not that hard. Like, get over it, just do it. Like, like, how could you fail at this? Like, whatever. But as I've gotten older and I've learned people more and I learned the stuff that people go through that they might not even talk about,
Mhm.
you just, you have no idea what people have been through. And so it's just, most of the time, it's not fair to just say, like, you're not trying hard enough or whatever. People are just like going through some serious stuff. Even like I said, like my life was really good and my path to success was laid out and I got, kicked out of West Point. And at that point, I'm just like, man, like how did this even happen? Like I didn't really feel sorry for myself for long, but like I said, I had everything given to me and I still messed it up. So I can only imagine how hard it is for people that that actually have to struggle through their life to get to that point. And so I
Right.
just I just learned to be more compassionate and understand that, sometimes, like, not sometimes, a lot of times people need help. It's not just wanting more. It's just like, nah, you need resources, you need a bunch of stuff that if we all helped each other, we could, get stuff done. But everyone wants to be like, oh, well, I figured this thing out, figure it out yourself, like they don't
Yeah.
want to help anyone. So,
Almost like it came easy for me. So why are you having such a hard time with it? It should be just as easy.
yeah, exactly.
So I just want to, before we finish here, what advice would you give others who are on their journey to finding their purpose? What would your advice be to them?
Try stuff out. Just do stuff, like, I mean, you've heard me say it before, like it's easy to just think and just say like, oh, I could do this and I bet I would be good at this. I bet I would like this. You literally just won't know until you do it. Like you have to just do stuff. And like, like I said with me and like talking to people and stuff, I don't necessarily like super enjoy talking all the time, but I get joy from what it does for other people. So I'm not super talkative, but I do like to help people. So if I have to deal with having conversations all the time for the sake of that, then I'm okay with that. So I would never have thought when I was a kid that my purpose or anything like that was going to have to deal with talking to people because I'm like, man, I want to make enough money that I can sit in my room all day and never talk to anybody ever. So, and now my life is the complete opposite of that.
Now
So,
you're all surrounded with people.
oh, you gotta get out there and try stuff. And like I said, like kind of think about your life and the times that you have helped people. Like, how did you help those people? There's probably like a common thread, like of the way that you inspire someone, and you could probably build on that, and that can be who you are.
Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. Taking the time and lending really great advice and learning more about you and your purpose. So I know that you have a lot of you have your social media and you have your website. How can people reach you and your services as well?
For all social media, it's Quick Tempa. So QUICKTMPA, Instagram, YouTube. My Facebook is, I'm pretty sure it's just my name, Jalen Shabazz. My training website is Tempa Team, TEMPA team.com. But you can also message me on any social media and we can do anything personally or go to the website. Doesn't matter.
Thank you again. I really appreciate it. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you everyone for listening. And I hope to see you guys next time. Bye.